The Supreme Court strikes down New York concealed restrictions today. Longtime restrictions on New York has placed on concealed carry firearms. Turns out violates, drumroll please, the Second and 14th Amendment rights. Wow. So we're just passing laws that go against the Constitution and people follow along with it. No big deal. Typical politicians. But this can't go without celebration for me. We also got to hear from our experts, because guess what? Rulings like this bring in the best of them. Here's Ines Poll from Germany saying, exactly 1 month after 18-year-old killed 19 children in school of Uvalde, Texas, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of stripping away another gun control measure, which will now allow even more access to firearms. It's unbelievable. How is it allowing more access? Well, you're being allowed to protect yourself and concealed carry. I guess that's a horrible thing in these people's eyes. The idea of rich people only being able to buy their private security and you being able to have almost the same amount of power as them, they don't like that. It's always them versus you. Our resident crazy man, Keith Oberman, had to rear his naked head and say, it has become necessary to dissolve the Supreme Court of the United States. Wait, who's uprooting democracy? See, I'm being told it's the right-wing, crazy Trump supporters, but it's people like Keith Oberman, who is a big proponent of putting, Trump in jail and putting all Trump supporters in jail, and especially conservatives, and thinks Biden is God's gift to mankind. He has come out and said it has become necessary to dissolve the Supreme Court of the United States. Insurrection much? Insurrection much? Insurrection much? The first step is for the state. The court, quote unquote, has now forced guns upon to ignore this ruling. Great, you're a court. Why and how do you think you can enforce your rulings? Constitution? Hello. And then we get some CNN freaking out a little bit. Let's listen in on CNN.
A decision from the Supreme Court with enormous implications for this country as it relates to gun rights, reaction.
Oh, imagine gun rights for everyone. Everyone getting equal rights. Talk to us, Poppy.
Wiping away any distinction between having a gun in your home for self-defense, as decided in Heller, and now carrying it outside of your home also, which we'll discuss throughout the day here on CNN.
I love that she separates having a gun at home for self-defense and then carrying it out in public. Why would you carry it out in public? Maybe self-defense?
CNN, Jim, as you know, this court has now changed the framework of how courts going forward have to look at gun rights and the Second Amendment. No longer the two-part framework, looking now at text and history, which means a lot of the current gun laws could be reheard and relitigated.
Ugh, those racist founding fathers. All slave owners want us to carry guns. Disgusting. And then we have next our resident, even crazier person from The View coming out and saying good guys with guns kill people all the time by accident.
A lot of law enforcement officers, when they're retired, they continue to carry because it's become such a part of their body. They're trained with it. I dated a detective that carried everywhere we went.
Okay, you dated a detective? That's hot.
But he was highly trained with that weapon, and I felt better knowing people like him had them. This is scary because in addition to a lot of guns, people will
So you dated a racist cop? Okay.
Say, well, now I'm able to protect myself, and a good guy with a gun and all the different sayings. The problem here is so many people get hit.
A good guy with a gun and all the different sayings. How about you can also say maybe a good woman with a gun that saved her life from potentially being raped or murdered in the night when she sleeps alone at home. Those stories don't happen. That's not real. This isn't real life. This is just crazy right-wing conservatives that want to shoot. Oh, my God.
By these guns, when you read the news headlines every day of children crossing the street, people that were doing nothing because everyone decided to be a good guy with a gun and shoot. And in a populist...
Yeah, children crossing the street and good guys with guns just shooting. I don't know if you would call those people good guys with guns, but that's just me. Are you referring to maybe Chicago and a lot of illegal firearms and gang activity and people being shot on a weekly basis? Is that what you're saying, good guys with guns? So criminals are good guys with guns in your eyes? Like, who are these people? These people talk about guns and they don't even know what a gun is. They've never shot a gun. They don't never hung out with somebody who is very serious about gun safety and the reasons of why to shoot and why not to shoot, because it's a very serious safety measure. measure and should be taken seriously. These people just think everyone's so flippant about it. It's just so dumb.
This place like New York City with so many people, already so many illegal guns, now giving people a pass to take that upon themselves, it's a really scary prospect to walk out into the streets.
It's devastating. It's devastating to think about somebody who's fearing for their life or lives in a dangerous neighborhood and wants to protect themselves and just walks in public with more security and safety because they don't live in a gated community, and maybe they could just protect themselves if they were to be accosted by one of these criminals with a gun. That idea is so crazy to her. And then we have even better, our resident Tubi.
Yeah, the New York Mayor Eric Adams just days ago said the negative effect he believed this would have on policing crime in New York. Jeffrey Toobin, this was a law that stood for more than a century. Passed
Toobin, do you have your pants on?
Supreme Court muster for more than a century. What does this mean for other gun safety laws around the country?
They at least cut them off at the top, so we'll never know.
Whether they relate to concealed weapons or other restrictions on guns.
You know, one useful way of thinking about the way this...
Oh, good. He's got both of his hands in the air. We're safe, everyone. We're safe. But again, Toobin, tell us about your gun experience.
Court is approaching the Second Amendment, is to think about the First Amendment. You know, we know that in the United States, you have the right under the First Amendment to say pretty much anything, anywhere, because...
Except for Twitter and Facebook and YouTube.
We have freedom of speech in the United States.
Yes.
What the conservatives on the Supreme Court are saying is we want the Second Amendment to be a first-class right like the First Amendment.
Yes. It's like when you hear something and it checks out in your head, you think, yeah, and these people think that's a crazy idea. All these peons, all these little plebes walking around, they want the same rights as you and me. They see the Constitution as literal. It's just so weird to me. I don't get it. We're safer. The government protects us. Just look at Uvalde. Look at what the police did there. They did a fantastic job. They did everything they could. So you should trust cops, especially the FBI and CIA and military, to save you. I don't know if you just saw that military pronouns video, but I trust those people to my core. Again, resident genius, Jeffrey Tubies.
And we want to be able to carry guns anywhere, anytime, without any sort of regulation by the government, without background checks, without restrictions on where you can take a weapon, without restrictions on how.
Oh, because what have we found out about background checks? They don't work. But again, I'll refer to Hunter Biden about that. And every time a background check is done with a criminal, well, the FBI didn't catch anything, so...
You can carry a weapon. Now, they haven't gone that far yet, but they are clearly moving in that direction. And, you know, we can't separate this issue from what's going on in the world, where, you know, we have a tremendous problem with gun violence in this country. We have mass shootings. We have 18-year-olds with...
Again, a lot of shooting crimes, shooting statistics, they will factor in people committing suicide as a part of the statistic. They will also factor in cops shooting people as a part of the statistic. So, you know, when you hear these words, mass shootings or shooting violence and stuff like that, they don't clarify what it actually means. Like, because in your head, you think it's just some psychopath or some criminal walking around with a gun shooting people, and that's what you and I both think. But these people just say these things and get away with mass shootings. Like, even if it's gang violence in Chicago, a couple gangs shoot each other, which is horrible and shouldn't happen, but they'll factor that in and make you feel, because when they say the word mass shooting, you immediately assume school shooting or just somebody shooting like at a mall or something insane like that. They never break down the statistics, and the more vague you can be and the more hyperbolic you can be, the more emotion they can pull from your mind to get you to freak out about things and freak out about statistics, because, you know, more people die from sugar in this country due to heart disease, but no one cared. And, you know, more people die of alcoholism. You know, like we don't want to factor those kind of things in because we don't want to have an actual conversation because we just want to make it seem like this inanimate object that has no mind of its own, that's not going to just operate on its own, is the thing that we should be scapegoating as our problems. If we just get this out of our life, if you don't have access to that, then all of a sudden utopia will form and we'll be happier together and we'll ride unicorns and be happy together because we're all children. We don't know how to act in life. We're all, dysregulated children, and we just run around. We want to be told what to do by our Tubies and Joe Bide's and stuff like that. Let's continue to listen to this genius talk.
Access to AR-15s, and
I'm sorry, what was that? AR-14, 15s? I don't know. It's one of those scary looking ones, the ones that everyone uses all the time.
AR-14, 15s, and the Supreme Court is moving in the direction of saying the government cannot regulate that traffic at all.
Yeah, it's huge, and how it should always be. Because we're freaking adults. I'm sorry that I want freedom. I'm sorry that I believe in the American people over I believe in the government's responsibility over my life. I'm sorry I believe if everyone had a gun, there would be less gun violence. Because most criminals are cowards and insecure and have tons of anxiety, and they want to inflict wounds on harmless people who are not armed and weak. Because they're so weak, they look for the easiest target. That's what I believe. And we can have that debate all we want. But I believe that you are an adult. I believe that you have the capacity to deal with your problems yourself. I believe that we should all be free. See, I'm more a libertarian mindset where I just think that the government does a really crappy job at keeping you and me safe. And I don't trust them, and I don't want to put my hope in them to protect me and my family, just like a lot of the parents that ran into Uvalde that had guns that were just like, as the cops stood around and watched shots happen at the end of the hallway, and they talked about how they needed a key to get in. See, I don't trust that. And with the FBI and their background checks, and people like Hunter Biden can still get a weapon and then throw it in a trash can. They can break the laws because it's always rules for thee and not for me. That's what it's always about. Guns are always about the elite, rich class, just like drugs. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Do as much drugs, they can have as much guns, they can break as much laws, they can do as much sketchy things with stock markets, they can make backhand deals, they can do whatever they want, and they want to keep that power. And the idea that you have something equally as powerful as them in your capacity freaks them out, because then they won't be allowed to get away with so much. Or just the idea of being checked eventually. They can't just ruin your lives. They can't put you in concentration camp like in War II in Australia. They can't do these things. So they want to take away your rights. I know people are like, it's just a right-wing nut job thing. No, if you look at history, it's very clear that one of the first things many dictators do and horrible leaders do is take away the rights of their citizens, especially the way to carry firearms. Why? It's such an obvious idea. We don't live in utopia. We don't live in a perfect society where we're all holding hands. We live in a very authoritarian society because people are looking for leaders in their lives, and they want you. If you don't believe what I have to say, then I'm going to make you believe what I have to say. Is why you're seeing protests everywhere gearing up for this Roe v. Wade final decision to come down the pipes, and especially if it gets dissolved, you're seeing people talk about creating violence. And that's on the left wing. So we don't live in utopia. The only utopia that could ever happen in the eyes of the government is them stripping you of all your rights and saying, if you don't submit, we'll do A, B, and C to you because you don't have a choice in this matter. So I see this as a huge win, and that's why they're freaking out. Always, anytime the establishment freaks out, that's when you should just go, that's a win for the good guys. That's a win for you and me, a win for the little guy for once in our lives. Because it seems like everything is against us, especially in today's world. I'm glad the Supreme Court has some sort of cojones for some things, especially as senators, a lot of Republican senators are passing new gun laws, as they call gun control or gun safety or whatever, common sense gun control, whatever word they want to use in order to make you feel stupid. They're going to say that because it's always, if you don't agree with me, it's because you're psychotic. as opposed to having a conversation. I thank you guys so much. This is my long form. I got another silly video coming out soon. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you. This is a huge win because it's unconstitutional. Especially imagine being a normal citizen in New York City and wanting to apply for concealed carry because you've seen crime or you've been accosted, you've been raped, you've been mugged, you've been whatever, and you want to protect yourself, and there's like nonstop barriers. This is a huge win. Great. Love it. I think everyone should have an AR. Unlike The View, I think every black man and black woman should own an AR. I think everyone should own a gun because maybe if everyone owns a gun, everyone would relax a little bit more, because the idea is that it's like everyone having a nuke. If only one person has a nuke, you can do whatever you want to the world. But if everyone has nukes, you're a little bit slower to using those nukes, aren't you? Have a great day. I love you. If you want to support my channel, you go to buymeacoffee.com/Jericho Shea Show. I would greatly appreciate it. Link is in the description below. I've been super busy lately. That's why I haven't been cranking out as many videos. I hope to do more videos soon. But I love you guys. And yeah, have a great day. I got a huge video coming out this weekend. Look out for that. Huge win, though. Huge win. Huge dub.